Less than 3 weeks left until Election Day, and it's shaping up to be one of the most heated finishes in recent political history. Former President Trump seems to have caught Vice President Harris off guard, capturing crucial momentum at a critical time. Just look at the numbers. Trump has widened his slim lead in Arizona, a state expected to lean more toward Harris. Meanwhile, he's gained an edge in North Carolina and even pulled even with Harris in Nevada. These three states represent key battlegrounds, and Trump's progress here could mean a decisive advantage. But that's not all. In states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, Harris's small leads are shrinking. If Trump continues on this path, the 2024 map could resemble a red surge, unlike anything we've seen in recent elections. Now, let's consider the national picture. Just a month ago, on September 18th, Harris was leading Trump by 3.3 percentage points, according to 538's poll average. Fast forward to today, and that lead has slipped to just 2.4 points. Nate Silver's latest data on his Silver Bulletin blog confirms the trend. Harris is holding on by a thread, leading with 49.3% to Trump's 46.5%. That's a difference of less than 3 points, within the margin of error. Meanwhile, Real Clear polling tells a similar story. They have Harris at 48.7%, barely 1.5 points ahead of Trump, who's now sitting at 47.2% support. With polling averages this close, it's clear this race could swing in either direction. But to make matters worse for the vice president, the Michigan Firefighters Union, a notable endorsement in recent elections, has opted out of supporting her campaign. A critical blow in a state Harris absolutely needs to win. So, is Trump on the path to a landslide win? Let's decode it. National polls tell a compelling story reflecting a tightening race. According to a new national poll released by NBC News, Trump and Harris are in a virtual dead heat. Both candidates sit at 48% support among registered voters, a dramatic shift in just a few weeks. Back in September, NBC News reported Harris leading by 5 points. Harris was then at 49%, while Trump trailed with 44%. But as of this latest poll, Trump has gained 4 points, effectively eliminating Harris's lead, while her numbers have dropped slightly by 1 point. And it's not just NBC showing this trend. ABC News and Ipsos also released a new poll underscoring Trump's progress. In their latest survey, Harris still holds the lead at 49%, but Trump is close behind at 47%. It's a tight 2-point margin, down from the 4-point lead Harris held in September when she was at 51% to Trump's 47%. But when we dig deeper into the national polling numbers, things only get worse for Harris. Starting with the Marquette poll, Trump is now slightly ahead at 50.2% compared to Harris's 49.8%. This represents a major swing from the previous Marquette poll, where Harris led by 4 points. Now Trump has a small but potentially significant 0.4-point lead. Next up, Rasmussen reports has Trump at 48% and Harris trailing with 45%. While this poll has consistently shown a Trump edge, the 3-point lead is significant, and betting markets are confirming this trend. Polymarket shows Trump with a huge 60% chance of winning, compared to Harris's 40%. This is the largest gap we've seen, with Trump enjoying a historic 20-point lead, an all-time high in his head-to-head odds against Harris. But looking back in history also favors Trump. On October 16, 2016, Hillary Clinton led Trump by 5.5 points. 4 years later, Biden held an even larger lead over Trump at 8.9 points. Today, on October 16, 2024, Harris's lead has shrunk to just 1.7 points, historically low and within striking distance for Trump. The numbers are even more striking among independent voters. The Marist poll reports Trump with 54% support among independents, a substantial 10-point lead over Harris at 44%. Just weeks ago, Trump's lead with independents was 4 points, meaning his gains here could tip the scales on Election Day. The CBS poll reinforces this trend. Among independents, Trump holds a 51% to 47% advantage over Harris, a 4-point lead from a 3-point deficit in their previous poll. TIP's latest Electoral College forecast projects Trump at 271 votes, with Harris at 267. This razor-thin margin places Trump just over the threshold needed to secure the presidency. But what about swing states, where the fight for Pennsylvania is in full swing? Recent polling averages from Real Clear Politics show Trump holding a slight edge with 48.3% over Harris's 48%, a narrow 0.3-point lead that could make all the difference. However, 538's polling average tells a different story, giving Harris a slim 0.6-point advantage over Trump, with Harris at 48% and Trump at 47.4%. According to the Silver Bulletin forecast, Harris's lead remains similarly razor-thin, with her at 48.4% and Trump close behind at 47.8%. Just a 0.6-point gap separates them, reflecting how volatile the situation in Pennsylvania has become. Looking back, Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016 with 48.6% of the vote, flipping the state after years of Democratic dominance. But in the last election, Biden narrowly reclaimed it with just a 1.1-point margin. In the prediction markets, Polymarket now gives Trump a solid 59% chance of winning Pennsylvania compared to Harris's 41%. This marks a gain for Trump over the last week, hinting that the momentum is on his side. But in Pennsylvania, where the battle is fierce, another major development has emerged in the mail-in ballot game. Republicans posted their strongest mail-in ballot update yet, seeing a surge in requests and returns that could spell big trouble for the Harris campaign. In just the past day, Republicans requested more ballots than Democrats, marking the GOP's largest single-day increase of the entire cycle, a 0.7-point jump. Democrats currently hold 59.2% of the requests, while Republicans are gaining ground with 28.8%. For perspective, in the last election, the final count had Democrats with 63% of mail-in ballot requests, compared to Republicans' 25%. But this time, the trend is tilting red, as Republicans outpace their last election numbers and narrow the gap with Democrats. If this momentum continues, it could bring a surge of red ballots to the count on Election Day. Moving to Georgia, a state that flipped blue in the last election, is once again shifting red. According to the latest Insider Advantage poll, Trump is now leading Harris with 49% to her 47%, a 2-point edge that's a significant change from their previous tie. 538's average shows a similar trend, with Trump at 48.3%, holding a 1-point lead over Harris, who sits at 47.3%. The Silver Bulletin forecast echoes this, showing Trump at 48.6% and Harris trailing at 47.7%. The prediction markets are showing even stronger confidence in Trump's chances. Polymarket currently gives Trump a 65% chance of winning Georgia, compared to Harris's 35%, a nearly 2-to-1 advantage for the former president. Trump previously carried Georgia in 2016 with 51% of the vote. But in the last election, Biden managed to edge out Trump by just 0.23%, a razor-thin margin that flipped the state blue for the first time in decades. Now, with Trump pulling ahead in both polls and predictive markets, the state appears primed for another shift back to red. In North Carolina, the trend continues to favor Trump. The latest Trafalgar Group poll has Trump leading with 46.5% over Harris's 44.6%. And the polling averages confirm Trump's momentum, with 538 showing Trump at 48.2% to Harris's 47.3%, giving him a nearly 1-point advantage. The Silver Bulletin forecast reflects this lead as well, placing Trump at 48.5%, 0.8 points ahead of Harris, who stands at 47.7%. Every indicator suggests that Trump's support in North Carolina has solidified, reinforcing his edge over the Vice President Harris. Looking back, North Carolina went to Trump in both of the last elections, with Trump winning 50.5% of the vote in 2016 and narrowly holding the state with 49.9% last time. His continued lead this year signals that North Carolina may once again be a crucial component in Trump's electoral map. The latest Rasmussen report survey, conducted from October 9 to October 14, gives Trump a 5-point lead over Kamala Harris, with 51% of North Carolinians planning to back Trump compared to 46% for Harris. The Rasmussen poll also found that 70% of respondents want the next president to bring in a major change. This is paired with the fact that 77% of likely voters see their vote supporting a candidate they believe in, rather than just voting against the other. The Wall Street Journal's poll from late September to early October found Trump and Harris tied in a head-to-head matchup. However, Trump edged out Harris by 1 point when Libertarian candidate Chase Oliver was included in the ballot, with Trump at 46% and Harris at 45%. Arizona is also proving to be a critical battleground once again, and Trump is currently showing a lead across several polls. The latest Trafalgar Group poll has Trump at 47.5%, ahead of Harris's 46%. Similarly, 538's average shows Trump leading 48.3% to Harris's 46.7%, a 1.6-point advantage. The Silver Bulletin forecast mirrors this trend, with Trump at 48.8% and Harris at 47.2%. Polymarket also gives Trump a 68% chance of winning Arizona, compared to Harris's 32%, further underscoring the state's shift towards red. Historically, Arizona has leaned Republican, with Trump winning the state in 2016 with 49%. However, in 2020, Biden narrowly flipped Arizona by just 0.4%, a razor-thin margin. With polls favoring Trump, Arizona seems poised for a potential return to the red column in 2024. In the crucial swing states, there are signs that the voter base is shifting in ways that could benefit Trump. The Democrats' voter registration advantage has declined in 3 key battlegrounds: Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Nevada, which presents a significant challenge for Kamala Harris. In Arizona, the Republican voter registration advantage has grown substantially, adding to the difficulty for Harris in a state where Trump already leads in polling averages. In Nevada, while Harris currently holds a slight lead over Trump in the polling averages, the shrinking Democratic voter registration edge raises concerns for her campaign as Election Day approaches. Harris's standing in these swing states is increasingly vulnerable, with voter registration dynamics shifting. But it's not just polling that's working against Harris. Reports indicate growing tensions between her team and President Biden's White House in the final weeks before the election. Sources close to both camps told Axios that the relationship has become strained, which may hurt Harris's ability to run an effective campaign. One example is an impromptu press conference Biden held in the White House briefing room, scheduled just as Harris was set to do a campaign event in Michigan. The timing of Biden's appearance effectively reduced media coverage of Harris's event, sidelining her message. In another incident, Harris publicly criticized Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for not returning her call about recent hurricane damage. However, soon after, Biden praised DeSantis, calling him gracious and cooperative. These apparent mixed signals from the administration are creating an image of discord, which could negatively impact Harris's campaign. As we approach Election Day, the landscape of this race is becoming clearer. Trump's momentum in key battleground states, combined with declining voter registration for Democrats, suggests that the former president is not just aiming for a competitive race, but could be on the verge of a landslide victory. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the latest updates on the US elections.